Robert Downey Jr. returns to the MCU as Dr. Doom in Avengers Doomsday. How do they bring in Dr. Doom without making him a knockoff and cheesy? Aren't you just going to say, hey, that's just an evil Iron Man? What makes this fresh from the outsider perspective? And if you say it's a variant of Tony Stark and Stark tech included with Dr. Doom's magic, then it starts to get a little interesting. And then I'm like, okay, Marvel, you're back in the seat now. I'm going to let you off the hook. This might be interesting. Pete, I see you nodding your head over there. How does this sound to you?
From a business standpoint, I think Marvel just guaranteed that they're probably going to make.
This is Show versus Business, where pop culture meets pop money, with your host, the real Theo Harvey, and Mr. Benja. So, Mr. Benja, what's going on this week?
What's going on this week? It is the event of the day, the event of the weekend, the event of the year. Oh my gosh, it's what we do at least once a year. We bring our friend Pete on because it's Comic-Con season. We met at Comic-Con. We always talk about Comic-Con foolishness. We just got finished watching Deadpool and Wolverine, and we've got some Comic-Con vibes going. So if you're not into comics, if you're not into the heroes, you're not into the spandex, you might want to press pause, watch the previous episode where we talk about Kendrick Lamar, because we're not talking about Kendrick today, finally. We're talking about Deadpool. We're talking about the Russo brothers. We're talking about Marvel. We're talking about DC's new logo. We're talking about the boys. We got a lot of stuff to talk about. But first, I want to welcome my man Pete back, man. Pete, Pacing Pete, how are you doing?
I'm doing great. I'm great because I'm with you guys, and I'm going to nerd out right now about Comic-Con and Wolverine and Deadpool and the news that just dropped about Avengers. I'm psyched and pumped to talk to you guys right now.
All right. Theo, I know I usually do a rundown on what we have today, but you were following the news earlier. So what are we going to have in this show today?
Oh, man, love it, man. Look, man, we can get into a lot of different things. I think there's some exciting news around the world from the Olympics. We'll talk a little bit about that. Talk a little bit. Should we do it? I don't know. We don't get canceled, but maybe the election a little bit. Some interesting things are popping up there. I think we get some views of people. We talk about the elections that we do. And then Comic-Con, man. Matter of fact, as we're filming this, some news drops and right before we went live. We're not live streaming like some of these folks out here, man. All these views, man. We record it because we think about it first. We don't just put stuff out there randomly. So we're going to talk about that. And then, man, I think the majority of this is going to be Deadpool, man. Deadpool Wolverine. Was it the savior of Marvel or the MCU? I don't know.
We're going to spoil it up, right?
Yeah, oh yeah. We're going to go deep into spoiler territory, guys. Warning, before we talk about Deadpool, we'll say spoiler. But I think I have thoughts about that too. That all down, rolled down. We'll get there. But yeah, man. I don't know, Mr. Benja. Real quick, let's just talk about it real quick. Olympics is out. Real quick, do you guys care about any of that stuff right now? The Olympics at all?
In this social media climate, and this year we're not arguing about Star Wars, thank goodness, or not too much at least. Not like the great fan base wars of 2017. But the Olympics comes around, and I think it makes everybody feel a little better. So that's one of the reasons I wanted to mention it, because it's like people are coming together, they're talking trash about the cardboard beds, and it's a phenomenal engineering feat, but it's still funny. Olympic athletes, cardboard beds, and are they going to be doing any banging on the cardboard beds? We'll figure it out. But it's a great time, man. I got on threads like I do, and everybody's happy talking about the Olympics. The fashion's actually what I'm most interested in. People talking about the sports. I'm digging what they're doing with some of the fashion and some of the design and things they're putting out there. But I'm happy for the Olympics this year because we need it.
It's in Paris. So they have to talk about being in Paris and talking about fashion. Have either of you been to Paris before?
I have.
No, yeah, I have as well. And yeah, it's definitely a phenomenal place, and definitely individuals who are very particular about their city. You got to speak to them a certain way. Don't ever run up to a French person and just start speaking English to them. They will stench you out. Walk up to them and say bonjour or something first. At least make an effort. Yeah. Spoken to harshly a couple of times. But yeah, it's in Paris. So obviously you got the big money stars coming out. I heard Zaslav, we talking about executives here from time to time, Pete. So he's the executive over at Max, HBO, Warner, and he they laid off 1,000 people, but guess what? They're spending money bringing in folks in to talk, laugh, wine, and dine in Paris for the Olympics. So it's just like the optics is pretty bad there. This is just what executives do, right? You go to Paris, you're gonna be at the Olympics, we're gonna give you tickets and try to wine and dine you, but it's just bad time for certain streamers and entertainment.
You have a favorite sport?
Oh, me personally, you know what? Sprinter's always good. This is the Sprinters, man. And do you guys watch that Netflix show, Sprinter? It's out on Netflix yet?
No.
The Sha'Carri Richardson, the controversial LSU racer, Noel Lyles. Sprinters always out there, aren't they? It goes back to Carl Lewis, man. It's just out there, man. And it's funny because you train so hard for a 10-second race. I mean, you're literally like train 8 hours a day. I can just shave off 01, do something. But that's always interesting. Obviously, LeBron and Steph Curry are basketball fans. Want to check that out. I think that's pretty much it. I might dib and dab in some of the ones like obviously Simone Biles and gymnastics, Mike Carter. What about you, Pete? Anything you like about the Olympics or don't?
I like basketball is always fun to watch. I think that's the great thing about the growth of the NBA is internationally, and that reflected in the guys that are leading their countries. And there's something to be said about that. And basketball is just fun and always fun in general, but definitely in the Olympics. I like track and field. But to me, that's always been fun. Like I did that for a minute when I was a kid, and I did like shot puts. I always pay attention to things like that just because they're not as big as the other sports, but it's always fun to see. To me, it's always fun to see something like that. But yeah, just like you, like my daughters are ready to watch the gymnastics, and we're watching like the swim meets, and it's fun, man. I love it. It's great. It's a great time.
Oh yeah, to your point, the four top picks, or I think 4 of them came from France this year for the NBA draft. So yeah, definitely French dominating the Wembanyama if you're a big basketball fan. San Antonio, 7'4" behemoth guy, is from France. And so yeah, the international basketball players are definitely top of line. Mr. Benja, what about you, man? Is there a particular sport you get into?
As I said, I know it sounds goofy. They always trot out the different fashions, and you want to see what new outfits they're wearing. This is totally me in my superhero mode. You want to see what new costume they're going to come out with and see what kind of mascot they're going to do and all that nonsense. But as far as the actual sports go, I do get into some of the basketball. Just ever since the Dream Team did its thing,
Yeah.
I've been into the basketball side of things, and I do checking up on the athletics that nobody cares about. Not because I care about the athletics, I just want to see what these people are up to. Okay, these guys, what are they doing? Breakdancing is a thing now, and it's some people online are like, this can't be a sport. How dare they try to? And I'm like, hey, let's just watch Japan basically sweep the breakdancing competition because they've never stopped doing it ever since it was introduced. Shout out to them. You know what I mean?
Funniest thing, wait, we introduced it and it just never stopped doing it. After breaking 2, we were done. Breaking 2, we're done. But now it's just
Oh man, I was in the Bay Area and I went to a warehouse party and I didn't know it was a breakdancing kind of thing, but there were like a bunch of breakdancers there at this warehouse party off the side of the beach. And I was like, this is crazy. And it was mostly Asian people. And there was love all around, but I was like, huh, this is totally not on the hip hop map right now. You know, I mean, people were there, but it's not like it was at the forefront of our mind in the 2000s. So
that's funny. Oh, so true though, man. You're right. It just never stopped.
One thing I will say, I got a little emotional, man, for the Olympics, and that's easy to do. But what's her name? Let me look it up here. From the Philippines, Hidilyn Diaz wins the Philippines' first ever gold medal. So she's a power lifter, and this is like her third time. This is like her third time to the Olympics, I believe. She's been trying to get it up there. So first time gold medal for the Philippines as a country ever. So
That's awesome.
yeah, when she lifted it up and dropped and they announced the score, people went nuts. Shout out to being the first person in your country ever to win a gold medal for any sport, not just like powerlifting, any sport.
You're immortalized.
No, and that's the kind of stuff I love about the Olympics. Shout out to the Philippines.
Oh yeah, definitely. Producer James, thank you for all you do as well, brother. So
Does
good
he
stuff.
powerlift? I want to see his powerlifting.
That's incredible. You represent it.
He'll be inspired.
Yeah, definitely. that's the uplifting part, right? The Olympics, everybody together, blah, blah, blah. But unfortunately, we live in the United States and we have a very interesting election coming up. I hate to transition like this from the high to high, low to low, but it's in the news. Last week, before we filmed this pod, Mr. Benji, I think it was that Saturday. Yeah. Then that Sunday, I think it was around 2:45 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We got news that Joe Biden is dropping out. And in this last week, Mr. Benja, it went from chaos to, okay, Kamala Harris, I guess she's running. She'll be the Democratic nominee. And look, we don't really talk about politics too much on this Facing Pete, but it's just such a monumental thing.
It's a
that
media
shifted.
thing. We're talking about media,
Yeah.
and that's how it comes up.
Yeah, and business too, right? And marketing, man. This is marketing 101, how they just pivoted everything so fast toward this new candidate. And this is interesting. It's livening up the race a little bit. I think people are paying more attention. Like chance to have a first female president again, a Black Indian president. So it's just she's ticking all the boxes. But she's been in our face for about 4 years or so, and no, she hasn't really hit the zeitgeist, right? So now she has to. So it's weird from a marketing standpoint. We don't have to get to the politics of it all, but when we talk about business show, so there's a show that's involved into this too. Mr. Benj, I'll start with you. What do you think about like how she's pivoting and positioning herself in the market as a candidate?
The vice president is really not meant to be out and about. They're meant to be talking to the Senate most of the time, doing a bunch of FaceTime for the president when the president's off in front of the cameras. So they're out there doing whatever they do. Apparently, though, Kamala has been pretty active out there doing her thing. So shout out to that. But I like the way they're presenting her as she's coming in. It's not like a push it down your throat kind of thing, finger wagging kind of voting. It's, hey, this is the obvious choice. Come on, let's go. Let's get behind this. And I think they're doing a better rollout of her as a person than I thought they would have done. I thought they would have fumbled the ball somehow because media, stupid people, but they're doing a pretty good job to me. I think it's definitely just an interesting contrast. Like we're talking about polar opposites. You got Kamala Harris and then Donald Trump. It's just demographics. You got the style,
temperament,
age, temperament,
gender,
loud. Yeah, it's just wow. This is pretty amazing.
Yeah. What about you, Pete?
Sorry.
Uh-oh. That tense of a
Oh,
topic.
maybe that was a bad sign. No.
Well, you guys would know her best. Was she a senator, right? For what? Second, right? There in California.
I think I agree with everything Ben said. They are complete stark contrasts to each other. That's why I'm interested to see if they get a debate set up, and that is going to be very interesting to watch. And obviously, they're going to bill it like it's a WWE pay-per-view if that happens. And that's because that's the media, right? That's the business part of it. I'm interested to see how they keep. There's already, I think Trump's side's already really started attacking her side, and I think right now Kamala's on the defensive, but she's coming in strong too. So I think I'm interested to see. I really am interested to see them debate. I just want to, whether it's for theater or it's to see how, because with Biden, Trump, I feel like they were just like all over the place. Whereas I feel like Kamala brings more like a structured like way of doing things. So it's gonna be interesting to see even something like that, because if you remember when she debated Mike Pence, like it came off like an actual political good debate. Whereas Trump and Biden, it's like grumpy old men.
You talking about mom?
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. It seems like Trump is already trying to take it to that WWE level, but I don't know if Kamala's having that. It's just gonna be like,
No, I don't think she will, man. I don't think.
And then also he ran against Hillary in 2016. This is 2024. It's a different environment, right? We had George Floyd happen, the Me Too movement, a lot of that coded sexist, racist words and things that they do. I don't think it's gonna fly as hard anymore, right? Little dog whistle the base, right? Get them all riled up. But I don't think the independents are not gonna be swayed so easily anymore, right? With some of that sexist, racist talk anymore. Just a different time, right? It almost seems old fashioned, right? If he goes after her for certain things like that, right? So I don't know. It's gonna be interesting. And then also the fact that Trump they had a plan, and which he to his credit, they were holding to that plan and everything was working in his favor. Now, when the plan is disrupted, can he hold to that? Or they'll go wild card again. So this is going to be interesting to see if he holds to it. Yeah, he does. He just goes off the script. We don't care. Honey Badger don't care.
Yeah. I so want a subtle Dave Chappelle F your couch joke in this whole thing somewhere. If you don't know, just search JD Vance couch.
Yeah, dream. And then also the whole with the cat women with no kids.
Oh God, yeah.
Yeah, just put his feet. I met him before. Actually, he used to be a VC, right? Richard Kaplan's, and so I have a company trying to raise funds, and he was under Steve Case had this thing was trying to raise funds, and he was on there. I talked to him a little bit. I don't know if you guys read the book. I read the book, Hillbilly Elephantry. That's pretty good. I never watched the movie, but I thought he had something to say, and obviously he was one of the most JD Vance, if you don't know, vice president that Trump selected. He was one of the ones vocal opponents of Trump years ago. Now, hey, power. I want that power, so I was switching off. So anyway,
Anthony.
Yes, yeah. He did the knee. I love it. Good reference. I know you watched the latest Game of Thrones, but he said, I need, what he said, Chase said to the phrase, he said, I need fit needs. So yeah, so that's what's going to happen here. But anyway, anything else? We can move on to some positive stuff real quick. Comic-Con.
Yeah. Before you say that, I want to watch Hot D, Got Hot D, but I'm having trouble like watching the show with everybody, man. I can't. It's a struggle for me now to actually show up week for week and be a part of the discourse. I don't know what that says about me and the social discourse right now, but I just want to watch it in peace and have sensible conversations, because it seems like people are jumping to conclusions. They're spoiling. I don't know. It's all over the place. So I don't know how you do the week to week. Pete, are you still watching stuff week to week? Or are you binging? What's your watch preference?
I think for me, it depends on the popular, like how eager I am to watch that show right away. Right. I've let The Boys just go so I can catch it. I have 3 episodes left of The Boys, and I know that season just ended. The Bear dropped the whole season, which was cool, but I still have half the season to go on that. But season 2 of The Bear last year, I was on it every week. I was watching it. Only Murders in the Building, I was on it like every week. But it just, I think it varies by show, and I think that's the beautiful thing about streaming right now is you can really pick and choose. You can curate your own schedule to what you want to watch, when you want to watch it. It's funny because I think now, you guys remember back when we used to get newspapers and there used to be like the TV guide and it would show you like what was on, what was going to be on. And
Yeah.
I think of that, that's pretty much what we're creating in our head, right? That's what streaming's allowed us to do, is build our own schedule at our own times. And that's ultimately what it comes down to. Now the question is, do you want to do it and have a marathon or binge as we call it now? Or do you want to watch it daily or weekly? And so I think to that end, for me, it just depends on the show, or really it's my mood. So I wouldn't say I have a preference. It just depends on how I'm feeling.
Have you noticed that some shows feel like they were built for binging and some feel
Oh,
like they were built for
yes.
going weekly?
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's a weird one.
Yeah, I think, like Game of Thrones to me is still on that schedule, right? Weekly. And I like that. It reminds me of Lost, shows like that, or Breaking Bad. We had to wait till the next week. And I think there's value in that. Like, we're anticipating, we're speculating. This is a lot of these shows too, or if Twitter was around during days of NYPD Blue and ER and all those heavy dramas back then, the message boards would have been going crazy over all the different crazy things happening. And we have that ability now. And now I completely lost my train of thought.
But we do have the opportunity to look back and see all these different things. So I was just thinking about what you said about being about joining discourse. I think there's just certain shows that are just a little bit more hot topic-y than us.
Yeah.
So Afterlife, right? That got a lot of flames, and I was there for it. I can see why Mr. Benjamin pulled away, because it was pretty toxic. And you have the main actress got to get out here in Juneteenth and shake her tom-toms. That was fun. I like her, man. I always thought all about you, the treaty, man. I always like her. But I don't know. I get it, But yeah, maybe we'll have a discussion on that like later. But yeah, I'm like you, Pete. I think also season by season, this is like some seasons are better than others. Because even the boys are like, I had to fast forward through some episodes, like when Homelander's being too diabolical. That's their word they like to use for just over the top violence and gratuitous issues, right? There's one episode I was like, okay, I get what you're trying to go here. I'm done. And then it was pretty bad. And then, but Game of Thrones, I feel like it starts and stops. It's getting there. The acting is great. It's always phenomenal. But the dragons are coming. The dragons are coming. So we finally get dragon. They're like, dragons are here. But then the next episode, let's talk in the room. Let's sit down and talk some more. Let's talk. I'm like, shit, I thought we had dragons every week now, man. Come on. So but at least I know what they're doing. They have a roadmap, so there's a book, and so you can follow what's going to happen. But to your point, there's a lot of evenness with a lot of these TV shows right now, and that kind of sucks. So yeah, it's that to your point, Mr. Bitch, is really no water cooler show that people can get around and be all happy about anymore. It's all either people have all these political agendas, or the shows are just not that good. So that kind of sucks.
Yeah, that's true. And I think we've had this discussion in terms of video games. When I was developing video games, there's a discussion between the developer and the viewer, where this is this kind of show. So when you watch this kind of show, here's what to expect. But it doesn't seem like people want to give that out anymore. And you're just sitting like, oh, okay, it's this kind of show. I totally wasn't expecting it. I expected something else. Like we had that disruption with WandaVision. We're like, oh, they really didn't prepare us totally for what to expect. In fact, they misled us a little bit. It was more of a concept show with some stuff added into it. And if they would have presented it that way, I think it would have come across stronger.
But no, that's not fair, man. They know they had us hyped, man. Why would you put an actor from Quicksilver, who played Quicksilver in the TV show, and then make it a boner joke? Come on.
Okay, totally with you there. I am totally with you. That's what I'm saying. They didn't prepare us to say, hey, you're not going to be getting what you think you're getting. They're just no, it's gonna be cool.
Then why tease that? Then why even tease that then? Why would you say
they're stupid?
You want that Fox audience.
Yeah, I think they're just scared to scare away audiences, and they're just being very generic with what they put out there. Same thing with Andor. It's if you tell people this is a much slower, more sophisticated show, some people are like, "Ooh, Star Wars, I'm jumping in." Then they watch it, they're like, "Boring." I hear where you're coming from. It's not that kind of show. So,
yeah, you just made me think of something right now, Ben.
Yeah, what show do you think of? Or
it made me think of The Last Halloween Ends and how there was so much backlash over it. And one of the big things was the fact that in a lot of the trailers and a lot of the marketing leading up to the release of the movie, you saw a lot of Michael fighting Laurie, and they're doing that for maybe 10 minutes in the third act of the movie. And like the movie ends up being something very different than I think what people expected, because they were billing it as this is Jamie Lee Curtis's like swan song as Scream Queen Laurie Strode in Halloween Ends. And what we got was a very different story. I could go into that separately, but just for this alone, it just, to me, it says the same thing. It's the way a movie's marketed, what the audience thinks they're getting versus what we get. And I think actually related to that, to our Deadpool topic, is Doctor Strange multiverse. That wasn't what I think we all expected with the movie, with the multiverse in the title and Doctor Strange as the title character. We would get something different than what we got.
Yeah, you hit the nail on the head. I think that's what the issues are. And that could lead later on to our Deadpool discussion, because I have some expectations and
marketing
setting them properly. Yeah. What'd you say?
Marketing above all costs, at all costs.
Dude, there it is. Mr. Benji, you like in my head. How'd you know? Look, we're not gonna tease. We're gonna tease a little bit longer. Just real quick, Mr. Benji. Let's pivot to that Comic-Con news. Let's see. I think you have some more news on this than I do, but Comic-Con, high level, the Russo brothers are officially back for Avengers Secret Wars, and then last I heard was just called Avengers 5. Did you get update on that, Mr. Benji, before the pod?
Yeah, just before we started recording, I decided to check what was going on, and let me just drop the news. I think Pete might have seen this too, but Robert Downey Jr. returns to the MCU as Dr. Doom in Avengers Doomsday. This has been
What?
rumored. This has been
Wait a
rumored.
minute, wait a minute, hold on. This is Avengers 5?
Yeah.
They're gonna call
Yeah.
it
Avengers
Dr.
Doomsday.
Doom?
Yeah, so this has been rumored. It's been debunked. Robert Downey was like, "Look, I'm not coming back playing some variant. Who the hell you think I am?" So it was like, "Oh, okay, maybe there's something else going on." And yeah, from
That's
USA
cool.
Today says Kevin Feige says Fantastic Four will be in the next 2 Avengers movies, and guys directing those, Joe and Anthony Russo. Blah blah blah, blah blah blah. Joe Russo calls Avengers Secret Wars inspired by the biggest story Marvel Comics ever told. True. Blah 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 blah. And they say they need a new character to introduce first, which is Dr. Doom. And Avengers Kang Dynasty, and now in 2026 has now become Avengers Doomsday. Okay, so that looks like the spin that a lot of people might have missed. The Kang Dynasty has become Avengers Doomsday.
Interesting. Woo, this is spicy. Yeah, what do you guys think? I'm just trying to get my thoughts together on this one real quick.
So I've gotten into a spicy threads discussion. I was looking at my phone to see if I got any updates on it, but a spicy threads discussion saying that how do they bring in Dr. Doom without making him a knockoff and cheesy? And I said this, and the comic fanboys came at me. It's okay. I accept all the flame. I accept all the smoke. Bring it. But basically, aren't you just going to say, hey, that's just an evil Iron Man? And people were like, no, he's his own character. And I'm like, no, people see a dude in a suit. The average Joe is going to be like, yes, dude in a suit. That's Iron Man. I don't need to see that again. And if they make him evil, it's, I don't know. You got Ultron. You got what makes this fresh from the outsider perspective? What makes Dr. Doom look fresh? And if you say it's a variant of Tony Stark and Stark tech and included with Dr. Doom's magic, then it starts to get a little interesting. And then I'm like, okay, Marvel, you're back in the seat now. I'm going to let you off the hook. This might be interesting. Pete, I see you nodding your head over there. How does this sound to you?
From a business standpoint, I think Marvel just guaranteed that they're probably going to make Endgame money, if not more, especially with the reveal of our RDJ back. That's massive news. I'm just curious in the comic book stories, and I could go off on a whole tangent, but I'm curious how that's going to connect because with the connection to Fantastic Four and everything. And I'm curious to see if there is going to be, if basically it is Tony Stark, but Doomsday mode, because there was rumors when Multiverse came out of an evil Tony Stark. And I can't speak to this, but I was following the comic book threads at that time, and there is a version of Tony Stark that's evil that's somehow uses Ultron. It was like Avengers 2 and Ultron tried to take over. And instead, I guess Tony Stark somehow has control of Ultron or something. I don't know. I probably sound ridiculous to the fanboys right now, but yeah, there was supposed to be there was teasing of that or rumors of that. So it's interesting how it's come out now that he's going to be a bad guy in the form of Dr. Doom for the next Avengers movie. And I'm super curious to see when they start teasing him with Fantastic Four a year away. Obviously, he's either the bad guy in that one or they're going to tease him up similar to Thanos. And maybe they do that. Maybe that's like the trajectory of the reveal of fully revealing Doomsday. We had the tease of Thanos in the first Avengers, and maybe that's going to be the next version with Dr. Doom introduced in next year in Fantastic Four, whether it's either the bad guy or leading to Avengers 5.
Are they going as hard as Avengers Endgame? I mean, when you invoke in Avengers Infinity War and Endgame, it's hold on now. That's serious level planning.
I said
production.
money. I said money. They're gonna have butts in the seats. Is the quality gonna be there? That's an interesting question. However, the guys who made Endgame are making Doomsday. So if anyone can do it, if anyone can top themselves, it would be the Russos.
Mr. Benjiso and Pete, I realized I don't like it. I just sat here. I was just processing in my mind. So basically, we'll get into with Deadpool. Not in our reality, Robert Downey Jr. is an anchor being because he is responsible for creating Spider-Man, basically. And they can't even find another Dr. Doom, so they're just going to make him Dr. Doom and be the major villain. So it's like he created the Marvel MCU as Iron Man. He helped shepherd in Spider-Man, who was probably the #1 character into the MCU. And now he's going to be their biggest villain in his next phase. I don't know. I think that's a little too much. Yes, I love Robert Downey Jr. And to his credit, look, he did a smart thing, man. I think all the other MCU actors, which they did this, he got all that money for all those Iron Man buckets of money. He died his character, died off. In that interim, he got an Oscar for Oppenheimer. And then now they said, "Oh, we're stuck. Oh, we need you back. Please come back." He's probably gonna get at least 50% of that take, whatever they get, because that contract was not easy to negotiate because he could do anything you want. I don't know. Like I said, I don't know if I like it. I'm sure the storytelling, and then even the Russo brothers, you look at their record. You guys watched The Gray Man on Netflix? That was not good. But what's the other one they had? Citadel on Amazon? That was not good.
Yeah.
So they don't have a good track record outside of Community and MCU movies. Look, and then let's get into it, right? This is supposed to be Battle World. They're going to try to create. This is a famous comic that came out. They did some of that when we talk later about certain movie. So it's, man, I don't know, man. I get it. It brings up the excitement from a marketing standpoint. I get it, right? Get attention first, right? Get the people looking, oh, I want to see what this is. But you got to deliver now, baby. You ever sold something? I've done that before. I sold something like, shit, they bought it. All this work. That's what I think. That's what Kevin Feige said. Oh, they bought it.
Can I ask you guys a question? When something like this happens, where an actor, it's announced that they're going to return to the role that made them famous, and the last time they played this character, they gave him the nice swan song, they gave him the nice send off. Does that something like that taint them like retiring because they come back and it wasn't really the end? I mean, I know that can be said for a lot of characters, a lot of actors. We're literally going to talk about one of them in just a minute here, but does that hurt your guys in your eyes? Does that affect the way you saw that it all end?
Totally ruins it for me, which is why, to Theo's point, I am a little iffy on this. I'm like, hey, he's supposed to be Victor Von Doom, own country. Is there an alternate universe where Tony Stark creates his own country? What is this about? How did this happen? Is he in the United Nations now? He seemed so anti-government before. Now he's, I don't know. It just seems weird. But yeah, when a character is taken to a pinnacle and then you think you're done with them, you put him in bronze and you set him up on your mantle, and it's all right. That's that. We can rely on that being finished. And then but wait. Like, oh, come on, man. What are you doing? Don't take it down off the mantle. Don't break it out of the bronze and try to. It's iffy. I'm excited, but it's iffy.
But you know what? They've been doing this as long as we can get movies, man. We just had 2 movies that came out this year. Axel F, played by a 63-year-old Eddie Murphy, reliving his glory days.
Send off for him because Beverly Hills Cop 3 was so awful.
It was. But I'm just saying, so this my rolling around a point here. 63-year-old Eddie Murphy returning to a character. We had Bad Boys 4 with Will Smith and Martin Lawrence, both in their late 50s, coming back. You got Tom Cruise out here jumping out planes in his 60s. And then you got Clint Eastwood still riding around in Gran Turismo in his 80s. So I don't know if these actors, as long as people are still buying tickets, me and Mr. Venture did a pod on this. Remember, Mr. Venture, like the medium age of a Hollywood superstar now is in his 50s, right? Late 50s, right? There's really, and they would say there's only like 5 that were below 30, like Tom Holland, like Zendaya. That's it. So we're going to keep seeing these older actors coming back to roles over and over again because they're known quantities. And just like in basketball right now, me and Pete know about this. Like, you got these guys staying around longer in their 30s. And back in the day, most of these guys flamed out like around like 29, 30.
My knee, get me off the court.
Yeah, exactly. To be fair, better medicine, better steroids, whatever you want to call it. I'm sure this character, we'll talk about this actor, I'm sure he's on something. He's on the clear to get that physique. He's on the clear. Why are you, man? How old are you now? You hitting home runs like that? Come on, man. So I don't know, Mr. Benja. I do think it cheapens it, but it's just it's almost baked into the cake now that these guys are going to be playing these roles until their 80s. As long as people are going to see them, we got Harrison Ford still playing Indiana Jones, and he's in his 80s.
Yeah, it really is hard to do a proper handoff strategy, and it's legitimately hard because even if the story's there, even if the lore is there, the people who are developing it just when you're in the midst of developing something, it's just so easy to fall back on, we did this last time. What about this story? And what about this? And once that stuff starts creeping in, it's hard to stop. And same thing with Star Wars that we definitely talked about. You mentioned Harrison Ford. It's listen, I know these dudes did their thing. I thought it was brilliant to have Luke sitting off somewhere where nobody could touch him. It was great to have Harrison Ford off and God knows where nobody could touch him, just smuggling something. But you saw the difficulty when they tried to bring him back in and have this handoff. So I'm not saying good or bad. I don't want to get into the Star Wars discussion again. People blame me in the comments later. But it's hard, man. And with this Victor Von Doom as Tony Stark, I'm like, I don't know, man.
Yeah, yeah. And I would just say this, nostalgia, shout out to the Midnight Boys at the Ringer. They gave me this idea. It said nostalgia never ages because people are always ready to see the older actor play the same role over again. And it's just that nostalgia play. We want to see Robert. We want to feel like we felt back in, 2008 when he first showed up as Tony Stark, right?
Man, go see Boys to Men in Vegas if you want that old stuff. Gotta admit it.
Man, I tell you, man, nostalgia is powerful, man. What's his name? From Mad Men, boy. It's powerful, man, because it's like is mixed with bittersweetness because you remember that time, remember who you were, and you were younger. It's probably his better time, but it's also painful because you never go back to that. So that's why nostalgia is so powerful, especially now with there's no sense of what the future could look like right anymore. So I don't know.
Now, speaking of what the future is going to look like at Comic-Con, Marvel really only dropped information on 3 movies: the new Captain America, Fantastic Four, and Thunderbolts. Were you expecting more, less, or is this about what you wanted? What you think, Pete?
I'm good with it. When you think about what's on deck for them, what's going to be coming out, it makes sense. And especially with everything that happened and what was it? They had the last movie. It was the King Dynasty, and now they've had to change course. And obviously that was the news that I think everybody wanted. I don't know if anyone wanted really much beyond that, because obviously a lot of things are going to change in the story and whatever they were developing prior to King Dynasty, and now everything's got to be changed for Doomsday. So I'm good with what they announced. I'm still processing Robert Downey Jr. as Doomsday. That's going to take some time.
Do you think the Fantastic Four is that kind of a draw? You talking about Pedro Pascal going up against Robert Downey Jr. I don't know.
Man, that's really interesting. When you look at star power, it's obviously a very interesting cast, but I think they're all good actors. I mean, I love Pedro Pascal. What's her name? Is it Vanessa Kirby that's going to be Miss Fantastic? And the guy from Stranger Things, I forget his name, and then the dude from The Bear. Like, to me, those are actually more interesting than Pedro Pascal and Vanessa Kirby, because both those guys are good actors and they're slipping into roles where they might not be seen, but they'll be talking. If Johnny lights up in Human Torch, and he's going to be talking like that at times. And the guy from The Bear is a great actor, but he's going to be the Thing too for probably the majority of the movie. So to me, that's going to be interesting to see how that goes, because I still have a bad taste in my mouth from the Fantastic Four that was released 20 years ago.
What about the one that was released about 10 years ago with Michael B. Jordan? That was
the hope is that they finally, Marvel's obviously been able to do any successful in all their movies. I'm not saying
had they?
They have a good track record. Is what I'm saying. They have a good track record with their movies. And by the way, I'm not a Marvel fanboy at all. These guys know that. And I think that it'll be interesting to see them tackle Fantastic Four, which has struggled to get up and ongoing when they're known as Marvel's first family. They should have been probably in the Infinity War series at some point. Hopefully they have found the ways to make it work for now.
Hopefully it's better than The Incredibles. Because for a long time now, I've been thinking, The Incredibles, that's the best Fantastic Four movie I've ever seen.
I've heard that many times.
Yeah. Facts. They can make it like that. But can the Fantastic Four work when we have TV shows like Invincible and The Boys that kind of have, depowered and really made fun of the superhero genre and now those are getting more play than traditional superhero stories now, right? Even Deadpool, which we'll talk about later, that's the antithesis of being a hero and what it's all about. And so and it reminds me of the 90s, Mr. Benja, right? In the 90s, man, that's what we read in the comic books, right? We just saw Rob Liefeld and X-Force and just very in-your-face storytelling. There was nothing about, heck, even I think that's when Spider-Man had the whole clone mess that happened in that period. So just very cynical. Carnage came out in that time. So it's just like, that's what we're experiencing is, you have the uplift that the Tony Stark 2008, yay, superheroes can do it. And now we got, superheroes suck. They're just the worst. Look at The Boys. So how did the superheroes get out of that phase? That's what I'm trying to figure out. Can the movies do the same? I don't know if Fantastic Four is that type of property for that. I read some good Fantastic Four stories, but it's a family. Let's be honest. It's like, how do you make that interesting visually, I guess?
Families ain't cool.
So anyway, Thunderbolts I'm interested in. We'll see what they do with that property, but someone said it was the Walmart Suicide Squad. So I don't know. We'll see.
Red Hulk, so
yeah. Well, he's gonna be in Captain America, Black Falcons. That's Black American. That's what we call Captain America. Sorry.
We call him Captain Black Falcon American. Wait, what is it? Did I get it right?
Black American, Black Falcon. It don't matter. The adjectives they jumble together.
Captain Black Wilson American Falcon.
But anyways, we'll see what they do. But to your point, now that we got an endpoint where we're going to Robert Downey Jr., is he going to pop up in these end credit scenes now and get us excited?
Wait a minute. Whatever happened to all the talk about New Avengers? Did they just shove that under the rug? The whole, what's her name? Echo, Hawkeye's protege,
Blade,
Marvel.
There's a lot of stuff we could talk about. But yeah, I know you're talking about the Avengers. Yeah, the New Avengers. Yeah,
I want to call them the New Avengers, but yeah, the
Young Avengers. That's right.
And Hulkling. That's the one I was trying to think of.
That's right. Yeah.
Businessman, when you're bleeding, you got to stop the bleeding. And so this is what Robert Downey Jr. He's like the big cleanup to stop the bleeding before they move on to something else. So I think that there's a big old cut Nash in the arm. So we got to put Robert Downey Jr. on it so we can get the blood pumping back into the body. And then we can start focusing on other body parts. So everything else is secondary to getting Robert Downey Jr. Pumped back into the MCU. So that's why I think happened to all these properties. Man, you know what, Mr. Benja? Shoot, we're going to have to go run law today, man. Let's just do it, man. Because we got to get into the big one, man. So they did have a special panel featuring Deadpool and Wolverine. So I think this is a good opportunity for us to pivot into Deadpool discussion. All three of us have watched the movie. We want to give our reactions. What?
Well, I was about to say real quick. I wanted to shout out Pete for his Wolverine cosplay over there. Your Logan cosplay,
bringing the realness to the pod. I love it. I love it.
Gotta rep Logan, guys.
I love it.
So we're going. Will be a spoiler discussion, everyone. So if you hadn't seen Deadpool and Wolverine, stop listening, come back. But we're gonna get into Mr. Benja. Before we start, let's just get this. What's everybody's high level expectations going into this movie? Let's just start there first.
Better than Deadpool 2 was my expectation.
Succinct.
Yeah.
Mr. Pete.
I would say probably the best movies, and I was hoping it would be the better movies that have come out since Endgame. Like it would be above those. I would say I had high expectations for this movie just because for me it's something that I've been waiting for since we saw X-Men Origins. Wolverine.
Wow. Okay. So Mr. Benja was more mid-tier. Deadpool 2. And you were like the Endgame.
If we were playing poker, I'd have been like, I'm all in. I'm all in.
Yeah. I think I'm in the middle. I was like, and again, expectations, how you set it up. The trailer did say he was Marvel Jesus. So I was expecting it to have a point to lead into a bigger discussion to stop that bleeding that we talked about with Marvel. And I expected that they were going to figure out a way to use Deadpool to stop that bleeding. So I didn't think it was going to be better than Endgame, but at least get it back on track, right, with their storytelling. And so based on his expectations, I can tell you who liked what they liked and didn't like. I'd be honest with you. Mr. P, we'll start with you since you had the highest expectations. Did you like the film?
Oh, I loved it. It hit my expectations for sure.
Nice.
Yeah.
Better than Endgame?
No, I wouldn't say better than Endgame. The best movie since Endgame.
Got it.
Oh, okay.
Even better than Spider-Man. I would say even better than Home. Or was it No Way Home? Yeah, No Way Home. I would say
don't know, man. I don't know if you're being totally truthful because you're getting choppy on the stream at the same time.
Come on, man. Come on. No, that paper.
Keep Spider-Man's name out your damn mouth.
The internet choking up in the cap filter.
You guys catch that line in the movie?
I did. Hilarious.
I was like, oh my God, this is fantastic. No, to me, it's the best one they've had since Endgame. I was happy and just everything they did was great. I had an initial issue because the only thing, and it's really nothing when I thought about it, was I thought there would be a little bit more of Deadpool connecting to the MCU. I mean, they basically said he is, right? He's like they're now in the MCU and it's going to affect things. But I guess I was maybe thinking we'd see an interaction or something, or maybe that's what the interview at the beginning of the movie with him with Happy Hogan. Maybe that's what that was supposed to be when he was interviewing for the Avengers job. But when I thought about it, I was like, this is just fantastic movie overall. Great swan song to the Fox hero branch of movies. It was just a total love letter to everything that came before. And literally every single movie from those superhero X-Men movies that started it was mentioned in the movie. And I have such respect for that because even though they took shots every turn they could at Fox, they did appreciate and honor everything that did come before that.
Good. What's that? Mr. Benja, did you like it?
You know what? I actually thought it was garbage. I actually thought it was just a steaming pile of put me to sleep. I was like, these fights are going too long. They're nonsensical. It's Easter egg storytelling. It's like you said, a love letter. I'm not terribly into love letters. If anyone sends me a love letter, it's probably in the garbage right now. I don't care about those. It was just too much of a bunch of nothing to me. I don't know. I don't want to go too deep into it. I'll jump in here and there, but I wasn't impressed and I was checking out.
Ooh, hot. Hey, hot. Hey, that's spicy, Mr. Benja.
I'm gonna go watch Deadpool
like
again.
one high to one.
I know, man. I guess I'm in the middle, man. I said in my review on Letterboxd, I said equally hilarious and profane is a comedy of the summer, even if the moments of seriousness and nostalgia ran a little hollow for me. To Mr. Benja's point, I think I take both your points, right? I definitely saw the nostalgia play for what it was, and okay, this is a little too much. But I did respect it because I did think that matter of fact, go watch X-Men. The 30 minutes, awesome. Now after that, garbage. But first 30 minutes of X-Men, best storytelling I've ever seen. They introduced all the stakes. They introduced Magneto. They introduced Rogue. So they set it down low, right? They did the Holocaust, right? Set the expectations of this evil. They introduced Rogue, a young girl who just sees her powers for the first time. And they introduced Wolverine and there's just being this loner. And then they connected together. And then finally Xavier came in to show him a better path. That 30 minutes, to be honest with you, by far, I was like, man, this is excellent storytelling to introduce mutants to someone who's never heard of them before. And it was brilliant. And so to your point, Pete, I think it is a love letter to those first foray from Marvel with X-Men Mutants by the Fox brand. And so yeah, I thought that was pretty cool. When they try to get too serious, I just want to matter, that whole matter thing. I was like, I don't believe you, Deadpool. And not Ryan Reynolds, bless his heart, he's not the best actor, right? He's working. Now, who was good? Dude, I believe, what's his name? Hugh Jackman, man. He sold anger, frustration.
Yes.
And this is the same dude that sings, he's a song and dance guy, right? Now that we know who he really is, he likes to dance and have a good time and all that kind of stuff. He sold that anger, man. He knew that character intimately, and he sold his scenes. But yeah, I didn't think this. I still understood the stakes of what Deadpool was in it for, and so that kind of ran hollow to me. And then to your point, Pete, I also expected some kind of connection in there, but they ended just like the boner joke with WandaVision. They ended it with a joke, right? I'm like, dude, what are you doing, man? Let's use this real estate to connect. I mean, they teased something. It was right there. They teased it to us. The Thor scene. They teased it to us like twice. They said it twice, not once, twice. I'm like, okay, are they going to play this out in the end credit? And it's like, come on, guys. So anyway, so like I said,
for Avengers 5.
Well, someone said I watched Screen Crush. Shout out to them. They said that it was re-edited to just put Loki into the scene. Excuse me, when Loki died, and I forgot which one it was with Thor. I think it was the second one. Yeah, he had died like a couple of times. Right? The second one, he had died right in the field, and then they superimposed Deadpool into the scene where Thor is crying over Loki. That's what, and Chris Hemsworth didn't show up, but still, why would you put that in there and have Deadpool talk about that, not to call it back later? And because that was a connective issue, the tissue, I thought, to bring Deadpool to the bigger MCU. So I was disappointed by that. But to me, hilarious. That thing was rocking, man. And especially if you knew all the inside jokes, which were many, that made it even funnier. So, Mr. Big, did you laugh at all, though? You just said it was trash and shit. So did you laugh?
No, I laughed at points. Goofy, yuck humor, and I was like, okay, see, here's the thing. Anytime you ever look at my ratings, you can always go back to what I call the fundamental hero narrative. Does that whole thing work? Everything else comes secondary to that for basically any movie for me. You can call me just stuck in that mode or whatever, but that's pretty much what I'm looking for. And I have these moments where the laughs and the jokes were actually taking away from the core story. Like a lot of the stuff with the Mad Max, and they threw a Furiosa joke in there. That whole, hey, nobody can get close to her and all this. And it was like, I'm fondling your brain. I'm like, all right, man. All right. We get it, man. Jokes. Story. Come on, stick to the point. That's what my problem
But that's Deadpool. That's what Deadpool is, man. Did you not watch Deadpool 1 and 2? I actually went back and rewatched Deadpool 1. It was all there in that first scene.
It didn't
he's in the car.
It didn't take you off the storyline like this one did, or not in my opinion. I honestly thought Deadpool 2 was far better.
Damn, that's hot.
Hot take city.
I'm looking at the numbers here. No, apparently the numbers are taken off. Forbes says Deadpool and Wolverine took 65 million in international market sales heading into the weekend, and on top of the 55 million for Friday, it's looking to blow things out of the water. And with Comic-Con buzz going on and word of mouth really getting out there, and once again, Ryan Reynolds' spectacular natural marketing doing its thing, it's successful. I'm not knocking it for that, but I just won't be seeing it again.
Go ahead, Pete.
Something I want to mention real quick is, I don't know how the theaters were for you guys, but this was the most packed theater I have been in since before the pandemic. I think I think the last time I was in a theater this packed was for Avengers Endgame. Like, it was just like, I was just sitting like, just, it was like regular, COVID didn't exist world. And this was like, it took me a second to take it in. I was like, this is nice. It reminds me of the good old days when we'd all be fighting at midnight in line to get a good seat at the theater. But obviously we don't have to do that now. So
actually,
that's a good point.
So a lot of times I see movies in the middle of the day now because I'm old and don't care. But this was one of those I saw in the middle of the day just before coming to record here. And I don't think I've had a middle of the day viewing this packed since The Last Jedi. So
I may go to movies a little bit more than you guys. So I remember Barbie being packed. Yeah. And so I was surprised at that because I didn't know it was such a phenomenon. I just took my daughter on a whim. So let's go. And I've seen all these women dressed in pink. I'm like, oh shit. I dressed in pink. I was like, oh.
I got girls, man. I feel you're paid.
Yeah, so I did not know. I was not expecting all that. I just did it on a whim. And then Twister, surprisingly, last weekend I went to go check it out, and it was packed. I was like, there's something going on here. But yeah, this was packed. And then obviously I took note of when people laugh and stuff like that. But you guys both are cap. I'll call cap on both of you guys because you guys know that Spider-Man No Way Home was packed too when y'all went. So don't give me that.
Oh,
last
Yo,
time.
you're right. You're right. You're right. You're right.
Jeez, boy. Okay, y'all remember.
Very
Spider-Man
now
No
that
Way
Deadpool
Home.
Wolverine at the top, everything else just goes just
Exactly. Let's pull it back a little
So
bit.
did you get
But
any?
yeah,
Did you get any claps and cheers from your audience?
yeah, we can get into that a little bit. I did a couple of scenes. How about this? We can definitely talk about the best cameo, jokes, surprises, things like that, because I think that kind of hinted at what they clapped at and all that kind of stuff. But can I talk a little bit about the business aspect of this, right? It's this show versus business. The marketing of this thing. So obviously they teased this thing, what was it, a couple years ago. Ryan Reynolds, as we all know, is a marketing genius. So is he a billionaire yet? Or is he close to it? Or I know you sent me something. I don't know if she's accurate in that assessment that he's a billionaire, but he's close to it, Mr. Benja.
Yeah, he's up there.
Yeah. So anyway, so he knows how to market things. And let's be honest, that's how he got this gig. Cause it's been rumored that he leaked the test footage of Deadpool out there. Remember that test footage that came out years ago? And that kind of helped spearheaded like what a Deadpool movie to look like. And so to his credit, he knows how to maneuver things and get things that he wants. And so here it is. Everybody's excited about Hugh Jackman coming back as Wolverine since Logan, which was phenomenal send off for the character, which you all agree when he talks. He's back. And I'm surprised. I thought he's going to be a producer on this too, but he was not. So that's interesting. They probably did some backroom deal. But the marketing of this thing, right? So it seemed like it was like, okay, it's coming, it's coming, it's coming. I didn't really see it then. All of a sudden, I looked on YouTube. They were everywhere. I saw they did the Lad Bible. They were hanging with puppies. They did a Jimmy Kimmel thing. My daughter said they were in a video with her favorite group, Stray Kids. My son said they were selling pizza. I'm like, where did they? It was like the last week they just showed up. It was like somebody pushed a button, and all of a sudden they were everywhere. And that to me was like crazy. And they market this thing like a general marketing message. So it was like, is this thing rated R or PG? Because like they're marketing kids. My kids would never see this until they get older. It's too much to explain in this one. So I don't. That's how I look at where I'm going to let my kids watch a comic book movie. They will have to explain a lot. And so I was like, I'm not taking them to see this. But it was one of those things where it's just like they were everywhere. Did you guys feel the same way about this? It was like nowhere, then it was everywhere at the same time. Like immediately. It was like quick.
Yeah, I definitely saw it. Like it felt like they were here 1 minute, and like you said, it's like they hit a button, and then here I am seeing Wolverine and Deadpool promoting a bundle on Jack in the Box. It was just like they're all over the place. And I love Jack in the Box. So as soon as I saw it, I was like, here I'm on DoorDash. Like I'm ordering DoorDash. Congratulations, Disney and Jack in the Box. You guys got me buying Jack in the Box more than I normally do. It's like they were here all of a sudden, and then boom, it just happened. But it's maybe that's smart marketing. Not that they got Ryan Reynolds and Hugh Jackman, their names alone will draw people. Then you put them in a Deadpool Wolverine movie, and that's going to generate its own marketing on its own. And then you push the button on the last week, and that's why there's talk of it being the highest rated R movie of all time. So I think it's smart marketing. It's aggressive marketing. They want to make a lot of money. And Marvel, this is, you were talking about this earlier about how it's them putting the Band-Aid a little bit on the wound, trying to stop that pouring of blood out. Like Deadpool Wolverine, I believe, is going to be that kind of stopper until we get to Avengers 5.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Did you feel the same way, Mr. Benja, about the marketing of this?
I'm just thinking of how much they marketed me crap, and now I'm mad about it. It's just, yeah, I got sucked in by the marketing too. The last thing I remember was like, man, they got a popcorn bucket, and once again,
Yeah.
it's
Oh,
Reverend.
I got my cup downstairs. I was gonna bring it for the pod. They got my. They got me. I bought the damn Deadpool cup.
They got the little hearts, the Hal hearts to bring them together. So they got all this stuff. And what was that? The video game movie that Ryan Reynolds made? Free Guy or
was it
something? I forgot the name of it.
Mr. Nice Guy or something like that? Or Mr.
Oh, Free Guy. Yes, Free Guy.
Like,
Okay,
yeah,
yeah.
Free Guy. Yeah.
When I was watching Deadpool and Wolverine, I'm like, they just slapped Marvel on this. It just frustrated me that I got taken in by all this marketing and didn't get Deadpool 3. I got something else. I got DP'd.
DP'd. But you know what? Mr. Ben just sent me something before this pod. They talked about his style, which is fast marketing, and he was the one that did. You remember that Peloton commercial, Pete, where the actress that played in a Peloton commercial about riding her bike for her husband gave her a bike for Christmas morning, and then Ryan Reynolds he flipped that around, hired the same actress, and she looked depressed. You know,
I remember
so
that.
he did that commercial. It was I forgot what it was for, but and it was like got a lot of virality and all
Mhm.
that.
Yep.
And you know what, Mr. Benja, this campaign reminds me of that. So it's like he uses fast marketing muscle and just said, look, we're gonna wait till the last week and I'm gonna push that button and we're gonna be everywhere. And to your point, it was like they were like literally like in a week, 5 days, they were everywhere.
Yeah.
Because usually I've seen stuff where like it trickle out, right? Oh, the cast of Game of Thrones are playing with puppies here. In another couple of days, oh, they're doing cast asking questions of each other. But they were just like, it was like all at the same time. Wow, they were doing lie detector tests against each other. They were hosting Jimmy Kimmel. I'm like, he must plan this to be a specific time period to build the momentum for the opening day. Because I guess in his mind, if we had a big opening day, that's all we needed, then that would get enough people to be curious enough to come back, go see it again, or get other folks who said, or on the fences like you were, right, for a second, Mr. Benja. Oh, I'll go check it out. So getting that peer pressure. And then the other part too, I think the other part too was the fast release of all the spoilers, man. It was like literally, if you did not see it like this weekend, man, they literally spoiled it within hours, man. It's like, I mean, there was already spoilers coming out there, right? Rumors and all that. But as soon as it was out, man, shit, at the Comic-Con, they basically charted out all the cameos right in front of everybody at Comic-Con yesterday. So if you didn't see the movie and you saw into that, Mr. Benja, I mean, you saw it today. Me and Pete saw it a little earlier. Did you get spoiled by any of the cameos before watching the movie?
No, I saw they were coming and I was like, all right, I gotta turn off threads. I gotta stop messing with certain YouTube sites that I subscribe to. So I saw it coming and I know how to like shield my eyes now. I've gotten to there. But yeah, I saw him coming and that was part of the reason I actually went. I was like, you know what? I need to go ahead and do this before bad stuff starts to happen because I was actually thinking in the multiverse kind of mindset where, oh, you're bringing in the TVA and now you're going to start connecting a little more. Part of me was like, if they start connecting and they start laying the groundwork for other stories and all this, I definitely don't want to have that messed up. So I got to go see it now.
Yeah. Marketing. And then last but not least, the end product promotion. Obviously, Honda Odyssey or Kai gave Reynolds so much money. It basically was a plot point. Let's be honest. It was like literally how basically he and Wolverine connected. And never thought about that fight they fought in there. Someone said it was basically a sex scene because basically they were fighting intimately in a small car. It was intimate. And then at the end, they were sleeping next to each other, peaceful. And then at the end, they were connected together. And I was like, damn.
Yeah, there was a lot of weird sex humor in there.
Well,
I mean,
that's just Deadpool.
but
But anyway, so they must have spent a lot of money for that product placement. That was funny.
Yeah, they did. Side note, have you ever seen and I figure this is where they got the idea from. It's like MMA inside of a car. Have you ever seen this?
Mm-mm.
No.
There's this whole group of people. It's a weird sport, like chess boxing is a weird sport. You know how people box and then they play around the chess or whatever. You know that, right? This is a similar thing.
Wait. Mr. Bitcher, remember I sent you that picture of the pillow fighting? It's like
Yes,
that.
exactly.
And slap boxing where people slap each other. It's double piece. That's all I'm saying.
So basically, they have this fighting league where two people sit in a car and they count 3, 2, 1, and then they just start beating the crap out of each other. You think that it would be like a silly kind of thing, but what's funny is like people are trying to undo their seatbelt as fast as they can, but then you got to put one hand down and that lowers your guard. So you get punched in the mouth while you're trying to undo your seatbelt, but then you undo your seatbelt first and you get to wrap the guy's neck in it. It's phenomenally stupid, but it has a surprising amount of depth. And when I saw the scene in Deadpool, I was like, oh my God, they actually did some of the stuff that I've seen in these MMA car fights where you pull on the recliner button and the guy falls back. It's wow, they did that in the movie. I'm impressed. Someone did their research.
Let's be fair. Wait a minute. Hold on. Deadpool 1, that was a big fight in the car, remember? 2016. So I don't know when these fights in
that's a good,
cars started.
Oh
that's a
no,
good
But the
point.
first,
Yeah.
yeah, that was a different type of. But yes, I do acknowledge that.
yeah. So
Apparently, the first rule of Fight Club isn't do not talk about Fight Club. It's create different variants of Fight Club.
Yeah,
which
exactly.
they did. Absolutely. So anyways, I just thought the marketing was interesting. Mr. Benja, before we get into like votes on best cameo, fight, jokes, and surprises, what are your thoughts about a TVA and connections? Do you want to say anything about that? And so you said it was a big pile of mess. So did it matter what the connections were?
Exactly. To your point, you were talking about it matters, and this is so irreverent. Does anything in this movie matter? Okay, you gave a love letter to Blade, Elektra, the Gambit with the super heavy accent, and the old school saber tooth, X-23. You just threw all that in there, and it's you. You did the whole thing we were talking about in the beginning, where you devalued it, where you took X-23 off the shelf from her crying scene, and now she's, I'm a crazy little girl, and I'm gonna put on my glasses before I fight. And so does that matter? I don't know.
Did you want to say anything about the TVA connections at all? Or
Yes, I really like the idea of them keeping the TVA around, and I'm wondering how much they did that in order to connect to maybe something in the future. I'm not going to put any expectations for it, but I don't think we've seen the end of the TVA. So I like how they use that as a vehicle where they're just always this kind of force that can help tell any story. I do like the idea of different characters in different districts, like Mr. Paradox and the different agents going around making sure that different timelines are doing their thing or not doing their thing. I enjoyed that part of it, but I just didn't think it mattered. And it at the end, I acknowledged it didn't have to, but I thought it would.
Mr. P, did you feel like you watched Loki season 1 and 2, or did
Oh,
you?
yeah.
Okay, but did you care about the TVA at all in this, or did you felt it was just there, didn't really do anything for you?
I liked it. I liked the connection. I thought it was cool to have that connection to TVA, the connection to Loki. It was nice to see. I don't know the name of the actress, but that actress at the end of the movie that they see at the TVA, who was in all the seasons of Loki. That was cool to see. I love connections. I love when movies acknowledge. You can be canon all you want, but if you don't actually acknowledge other parts of the universe, it doesn't really matter. So I thought that was really cool, that connection to Loki. But I'm sorry. What was your question again, Theo? It was,
No, I just think you say you like the connection between Loki and that, and so what was your long term? Did you care at all about that? And sounds like you like that connection for the
oh
most
yeah.
part. Me personally, I could care less. I heard this plot exposition when they start talking because it's like Deadpool. To his credit, he made fun of it too. This is exposition. What do you call it? I forgot what the thing they call where it was going to prune the timeline. He called it what's the thing that they always try to get, Mr. Benja? MacGuffin. He called it the MacGuffin
Oh,
device.
yeah.
So it didn't matter really. Let's be honest. But I do felt like the villains, it was kind of like it muddied their motivations, right? McFadden, what do you want to do? Now, in essence, so it's a meta too commentary, right? Because basically, Matthew McFadden, the guy from Succession, right, who played Mr. Paradox, he was basically saying, "Hey, it was basically a meta commentary. He was a studio executive, right? He was saying, look, now that Wolverine's dead from your universe, we got to prune that universe. You got to prune Fox movies.
Right.
But you're pretty interesting. So we'll bring you over to the Avengers universe, the sacred timeline." So that was the whole point of just, it was a meta commentary on the studio system, which was hilarious to me.
That was pretty
But
slick. I'll give him that.
yeah. But beyond that, it was just like, it was just a plot point. And then he was a plot point, Mr. Paradox. And then I don't know how far we can get into this, but Cassandra Cain, I didn't really understand her point. She was a queen. She loved it being in the void. But then when she found out they weren't playing fair, I guess I want to destroy everything else. It just didn't make sense to me what her point was, right? To leave the void and start ruckus. So that was a messy thing for me. But I don't know. Did you like her as a villain, or did you like Mr. Paradox?
I liked. Oh, sorry, Ben. Do you want to go?
No, you should go.
Ben's he's gonna flame the villain. No, I thought she was smart. I thought it was interesting. I liked the contrast from her versus Patrick Stewart's Charles Xavier, right? Which is basically she was supposed to be like her. That's her twin. So I thought it was interesting, right? Because you saw Professor X, we all know in the Fox movies, really wanted to nurture Logan, wanted to help him become who he's supposed to be. And she is the complete opposite of that. We all saw that scene when she was ready to just be like, you and us together, like we can destroy everybody, like we can rule, like it can just be you and me. And she wants to feed into that anger. She wants to feed into that hate. Some Darth Sidious vibes there. Like she that's her motivation. That's her drive at that point in the movie. But I liked that contrast from her and Charles. I thought that was really cool to see, even though like she has never met him. But that's when Logan goes into his whole, he would have saved you, he would have tried to love you. Thinking about it more, that actually when she does help them get out of the void, it does, her coming out of the void to do what she did, it like actually cheapens what that point in the movie, because it actually felt genuine. You actually felt, oh, because at that point I was like, oh, maybe Paradox is actually the villain of the movie and she is a stepping stone towards that. But then it was flipped and I was like, oh no, she's totally the villain.
Yeah. She was way too overpowered, right? It was just like, she's gonna go against two of the, yes, they're cool characters, but look, they're definitely on the lower end when it comes to mutants or and things of that nature when it comes in the X-Men. But yeah, like I said, I thought someone made a good point. So did you ever read the comic books when she showed up? I think it was the Grant Morrison run, the new X-Men, and there was the panel where she put her fingers in the guy's head and his body. And they just basically said, okay, that's her power, right? That's how she reads your mind. She has to put her fingers in your brain to read it. And I thought that's cool. It was a different perspective of being a telepath, right? Most telepaths like, it's just what you think. She actually has to go inside and touch you. And I thought that was different. So I like that aspect of it. But cool character, cool design. So we'll see. But they killed her off. Spoiler alert. But we'll see what they do. Real quick, we didn't really talk about the Wolverine of it all, man. What did we think about Wolverine being back in action?
You know what, man? One of the things that really got me in this movie, like you were talking about his anger, that really felt like Wolverine, man. I was like, yes, this dude is just in there cutting people up, going for it. So I was happy to see that. And some of those fight sequences with him and Deadpool were pretty excellent. And not just speaking of the car scene, the desert scene, when he went off on the multiverse of Deadpools, there was a lot of good action there. So it was just pretty exciting to see. And it's funny, it still hasn't even gotten old. And I just love seeing those claws come out slash.
See, you did love it. Oh,
It's not complete above that for you.
Hey man, sometimes before I flush the toilet, I look down and say, "Man, that's one." Before I flush it, so I'm gonna give this a thumbs up before I flush it.
Look, absolutely. I think Hugh Jackman worked. So from just his anger, and then this is, we'll talk about it. Maybe we'll talk about it in the vote, but later. But man, when he put that cowl on, the whole audience went, screamed.
I was scared, man.
Yeah, I was hyped for that, man. I thought that was cool. And just being Wolverine when he got down on fours and it was crawling and like a Wolverine. I think he nailed it, man. He nailed it with the character, man. That's Wolverine, and that's how you want to see it. The montage, the funniest things. This cameo, I thought about you facing Pete. What did you think? Did you scream like a little girl when you saw that cameo of Wolverine pop up on your screen? What did you say? What did you think?
Here's the thing about it too, and I'm pissed because I did get spoiled by that when I was. I went on Twitter like a fool, and I saw, and I only saw the name pop up, and I was like, no, and I took my phone out, and I was like, I did not just see that. I did not just see that. And then I go see the movie, and yep, I saw that. And you know what? I loved it. I actually loved it. And it actually made me think, are they teasing this? Is this not just a throw in? Because here's my case. John Krasinski as Reed Richards in Multiverse, that was fan service. I think that was total fan service by Feige. I think he saw for years the fan cast of people wanted John Krasinski, and I think he just gave that to them. I think that was a gift. I wonder if that was a legit tease of Cavill as the new Wolverine. I wonder, because he's a huge name, and even though it was a funny movie, we know Deadpool to be meta. How maybe he was pitching also Wolverine, not just Hugh Jackman or I'm sorry, Henry Cavill, but to the audience. Hey guys, this might be the guy. What do you think? And so I thought it was great. He's got the physique for it. We know how badass he looked as Superman. He could, I think he could do it, and I thought it was great. And as a DC hardcore fanboy, I thought the shots at DC were hilarious. I'm like, yes, they deserve that for the way they treated my boy Cavill.
Oh man, my thoughts on Cavill, man. Always the bridesmaid, never the bride, man. It's just, he tries so hard, man, just to give me a shot. I could be Superman. I could be in The Witcher. I could be. I'm gonna be the Highlander now. It's just, dude, man, pick a lane, man. Was he supposed to be in? They said, oh, he did wonderful in Mission Impossible 6. They could bring him back. So it's just he's so close to being like that guy, but he just never can get there. He does so hard, man. So did you watch the other movie he did? It didn't do well in the movie theater, but what was it called? The Department of Ungentlemanly Like Behavior or whatever. What was it called? I saw it in the movie theater. He was good in it.
Was that good?
Which one you talking about? Yeah, it was good. It was called
Argyle when he had that.
Yeah, that was not good. Yeah, that wasn't good.
I'm thinking of that one. Was it that one?
Yeah, no, but it was another one with Guy Ritchie movie. The Welfare. It was the guy from Reacher was in it too, but it was good in it. Look, the guy's charismatic, but just something about him. I guess he doesn't have that one gene, that superstar gene, right? That you could just click on and just be that guy, right? Like Hugh Jackman, right? Hugh Jackman turned it on and he's just Wolverine, and he's done other stuff, but it's hard to do. Robert Downey Jr. He's that guy. Henry Cavill, for whatever reason, right? They just not. He just maybe makes the wrong decisions. I don't know what it is, but from his business standpoint, because then wasn't he with The Rock? His management team was with The Rock for a second.
His agent is what's her name? Danny Garcia.
Yeah, that's why I figured.
But now it's like a business partner.
Yeah. Yep. So it's okay. So I guess they were trying to. Yeah. Did you know that, Mr. Benja? You look confused.
No,
Did you know that?
I didn't know that, but that's an interesting connection.
Yeah, so that's why he showed up in Black Adam.
How much testosterone can you get in one agency?
Yeah, not enough, man. Not enough. But it was funny though when Deadpool. So when they did the montage of Wolverine, when Deadpool saw the muscle, they saw the bulging muscle. He said, "Oh yeah, that's it. That's the one." Yeah, he said that. I was like, "Oh my goodness!" But I loved it all, man. The comic accurate Wolverine. He said short king. I love that. That was hilarious. People always wanted a short Wolverine, and no, they don't. I love the brown suit was hot though. That was fire, man. I think they need to bring that. That was cool. That was even better than the yellow one. And they teased the fight scene with the Hulk, which sucked. They didn't do it. They should have. What else? The other one they did? Days of Future Past. No, it was Apocalypse. Wolverine, right? With the missing hand in blue. That was pretty hot. So yeah, man. Look. Wolverine, I think, I can't, Mr. Benja, if you took Wolverine, keep Wolverine. That's a fire movie, right?
What are you trying to get me to say?
That you like this movie. Come on.
I run a 6-point scale at all times, in case anybody's ever wondering. 1 star is absolutely not. 6 stars is absolutely must. And then there is no in between. That's the whole point. So you have 3 on one side, 3 on the other. The Deadpool and Wolverine falls at a straight 2 out of 6 stars for me.
Ooh, wow, brutal.
Yeah, at least it's not 1.
Yeah, and then honestly, the montage at the end, we see the young Hugh Jackman playing Wolverine. That got me too, man.
That was touching. That was
he played that character for 20 years, and just over 20 years, and so even I had to go back and watch. I even went back to watch the damn what's it called, Wolverine Origins, which is sucks. I was like, he's still good. He's still good. The Wolverine, he's good in that. It's like, damn, this guy, he knows that. He probably knows Wolverine better than any of us. So I would just say.
I'm sorry, I gotta mention this. I think my favorite line when they're talking about that is when Ryan Reynolds looks at the camera and goes, it like when we see him in the suit, like full on in the suit, he goes, it only took 24 fucking years.
Yeah. I actually had to stop for a moment and go, I'm sitting here counting.
Oh yeah, that was good. And then the reveal of why he wore it, and so that was his look. His scenes worked. When the seriousness came to Wolverine, that worked for me, right? And also the touching conversation he had with X-23, where she said he's never the guy, right? Until he is. And that's the essence of Wolverine. It's just leave me alone, right? Even in the first movie when he meets a rogue. Yeah, just leave me alone, kid. What do you want? She said, he said, you don't care, you don't know. He said, either way, I don't care. Get out of here. But then when she needs help, he's there. It's like he cares so much, he has to protect himself. Just like you, Mr. Bitch. You care so much, you just don't want people to get close, because then they get close, it's too late. They got
I'm the
you.
wrong guy. I'm the wrong guy. Every time.
I just want to add on. I think this is definitely my favorite version of Wolverine. Like it's
Fact.
you guys nailed it. That's him. Like the anger, and even when they were fighting, there was a lot of times where he finally embraced the journey that they were on and like really got into the fight. I was like, man, I feel like this is Berserker Wolverine. Like I like the way he was cutting dudes up. I'm like, this is what I remember reading the comics. This is what I remember in the old 90s X-Men cartoon. He did such a fantastic job, and Hugh Jackman just killed it in this movie.
Yeah. Was he on the clear, Mr. Real quick, Mr. Pete? Yeah.
Go ahead.
When he busted out of the shirt and we saw all the goodness. Deadpool had to remark on it.
Man,
was he on the clear? That dude is what? How old is Hugh Jackman? 50? What is he? 54?
He's in his 50s. I know that. Yeah.
Dude, man. Kudos to him, man.
Marvel has a
that's not
special
easy.
diet plan.
they spent some extra money and put avocado oil on him, man, and got him all.
Dude, this dude is 55 years old. He'll be 56 this year.
I gotta get back in the gym. But the one scene you're talking about really displaying Wolverine, the one scene that got me, and it snuck up on me a little bit, was when they were in the car talking, and Deadpool said, if we can make this, he said something about if we can make this happen, or if we find a way out, or something like that. But he wasn't for sure that he was going to be able to make this whole thing work, or he was just trying. And Wolverine got really pissed. And I was like, to me, that was the story moment where it was like I don't believe you just put all of this into a wish, an idea, a hope. And he got so angry in the car, and Deadpool didn't know what to say. And the fact that he just stood there with this childish blank face, like, dude, I had a wish. I got to try, right? And it was just this bit of, okay, there's their difference in character. And then they had the fight. And that kind of made sense to me. I was like, you know what?
Yeah.
I like that scene.
That was a good scene, because basically he was quiet, and then he said, I'm going to fight you now. It was like a kid, right? I don't have any words anymore. All I can do is just be physical with you, because I don't know what to say, because you hurt me so bad. And I thought that worked. Absolutely. Yeah. So anyway, man. All right, guys, let's get into it real quick. I was going to go into just, get into the votes into the votes, right? So we're going to get into, cameos. There were a lot. We can go to all of them. But while we talk about what was our best cameo, then we can talk about all the different ones if we want to. So for me, it has to be, I guess I'm going to have to go with Johnny Storm showing up in the wasteland. I'll go first. Look, to be honest with you, when I saw him, first thing I thought was Dr.Doom. And so when we were talking about this whole Doom Battle World thing with Robert Downey Jr., I don't know, man. I don't know if they can do it, because that was like the motif it was giving me. We were in a wasteland. You got someone looking like Dr. Doom coming out of the woodwork. And so I was like, okay, I hope this is not Dr. Doom. But then when I saw looks like it was Chris Evans, I knew it was going to be Johnny Storm, because I was like, they're not going to do Captain America. Because so did you guys suspect that too, or did you figure out after the fact?
No, when I saw him, I saw the red, white, and blue in the outfit a little bit, because they had a little red in his shawl and the blue and the white, and I was like, okay, are they gonna throw in some dust bucket version of Captain America in here? You know how they had 100 versions of Captain America.
Oh yeah, which they did. Yeah, they did have an old version.
Yeah, so I didn't like them actually throwing the Fantastic Four in. So when they did that, I was like, Oh, okay.
But then when they did that, I knew where this was going after that. I was like, okay, this is going to be about the Fox superheroes. So any other cameo that came after that, it made sense to me, except for the other. So yeah, that got a loud reaction for me. Another loud reaction was, what's his name? Blade. Yes, we saw Elektra. People got excited by that. Blade got huge reaction. And that surprised the hell out of me because I thought, because you remember back in the day, 2004, I want to say, Ryan Reynolds was in Blade Trinity, and they did not get along.
No.
Yes.
Huh.
Look
I
it
don't
up.
know that. I'm looking it up.
Ryan Reynolds has been around a long time too, man. These actors, are old, man. Don't ever forget that. They look young, but these jokers have been around for 20, 30 years.
That's where that shot came from.
Yep.
I remember
Makes you
the
wonder,
shot right
like,
now.
it makes you wonder, like, what would help them bury the hatchet, because I know that they had some beef, like when they filmed Blade Trinity. So I'm curious, like, what. But that's probably true. That's true.
Wesley Snipes went to jail, right?
That's
for
a good
tax
point. I was
evasion.
just thinking that.
So,
Right?
and someone's gonna give us, yeah. Motherfuckers want to always skate uphill. Nice.
You had to
I
drop
say that.
line.
I say that wherever you want me to say it. Mr. Reynolds, where do you want me to say that?
I
Mr. Re-
actually have a funny story about the Captain America you guys brought, or the whole like tease, right? Because let's be honest, that was, they want everyone to buy in that could have been Captain America. I had two funny stories about that. First was when I was in the theater I was in watching it, when me and the people next to me were like busting up laughing when they revealed it was Johnny Storm. And the corner of my eye, I looked at the couple next to me and they looked like completely blank. I was like, oh, you guys don't know he was Johnny Storm. And then I was leaving the theater after the movie, and these young kids were behind me. And one of the guys was trying to tell his friend, hey, when they showed the arm, when they saw Chris Evans, were they trying to tease Homelander? And I was like, wow. And he goes, yeah. He goes, it looked like Homelander's arm. And they're like, no, that was like they wanted you to think it's Captain America. That was the whole point of, I don't know, man. I think that was Homelander. I thought that was supposed to be a Homelander tease. And I'm like, it's 1 a.m. I don't have the brain power to deal with this crap right now.
Comedy.
I love it. I love it. And then obviously the other one that came out was Gambit, right? And so that one got the biggest reaction from my crowd because we never thought we would see a live action Gambit, but a little soft. It seemed like they would play it for jokes. I thought Gambit was like, what's the actor's name? Channing Tatum. I thought that was his Deadpool, right? That was the one that he really wanted. But why would you make fun of that? It was like they were making fun of his accent. Look, his look didn't look that great. Now, when he fought, I thought it looked pretty decent with the cards and stuff. I thought that was cool and the staff. But I don't know, man. I thought, look, Channing Tatum, it's like, dude, this is the only time people gonna see your character. Yeah. Look, I know you want to be, but man, I gotta get this money. So let's make this character look good. I don't know. What are your thoughts on seeing Gambit live action? Not necessarily, because there was an actor that did play a version. What's the guy's name? Taylor Kitsch, I think that was his name.
Yeah.
Friday Night Lights.
Yep.
He basically he just had some cards and his eyes light up.
Yeah.
But he didn't do anything else. But yeah, this is the first time we actually saw him in action. Did you guys get hype about that? Did the crowd get hype? Did you care?
Once I saw the outfit and his first line, I was like, oh, okay, I can just pass on this. See, I think something can be funny, and no, I think something can be humorous without being made fun of or being put in the clown category. And I think that Channing Tatum in this Gambit getup was put in the clown category. Like, you could still take Blade seriously. Okay, sure. Wesley Snipes Blade, you can take that kind of seriously. Elektra wasn't that serious from her character to begin with, but you could still take it seriously. Even X-23. Of that group, Gambit was clearly the clown character, where it's like that purple and that shine and the way he talked, and yeah.
Deadpool making fun of that. I wonder if some of those jokes come after post. What do you think about that? Because we never see his mouth, right? And you think after the fact, Ryan Reynolds and the crew, the writers, they say, "Oh, let's just say this real quick." What do you think? Some of those jokes seem like they may come after the fact.
Possible, yeah.
Yeah, I wonder how many jokes they all had because there could have been a lot more Blade jokes. There could have been a lot more X-23 jokes. I thought there were going to be some like, are you old enough to be killing somebody by kicking them in the face with your foot knife? I don't know. I don't know.
I thought that was a pretty biting joke where, like I said, some of the jokes were better if you know the story. They asked Electra, he said, "What about Deadpool?" He said he died. Electra said it's okay. And so if you didn't know that Jennifer Gardner was married,
Yeah, I
and
Yes.
love
divorced to Ben Affleck, it's
Yeah.
deep cut. So this is, dude,
Yeah. So once again, that just doesn't matter to most anybody. My
That was a
theater,
great line. That was a
my
great shot.
my theater was cracking up at the fart jokes and stabbing dudes in the rump. You remember the scene where the dude bent over and he's got two guys. He's the double fisted.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
That's
Yeah.
what my theater was cracking up over. And there were teens in there. They were losing their minds
yeah.
over that popcorn flying in the air and teenagers running down the aisle laughing. Oh, that's crazy, dog. That's crazy. That was fun for that audience. And I'm not mad at that.
Yeah, I remember being
That's what it was.
17 too. Yeah, you're right. I remember being 17 too. Those are good times. Say
Can I
to it.
say
So
something real quick about the Channing Tatum Gambit thing? I think to me, I feel like it's a reward to all of us that we're reading for 20 years that he was trying to get a movie made. And I'm torn on it because I thought what happened worked for the context of the movie, but there was also a part of me that was going, maybe it's a good thing we never got Channing Tatum. So no, I was like you guys. I was Theo, you were talking about he was made out to be a joke. He was super heavy on his accent. That was clearly like all for comedy's purposes. But then when he fought, like I was like you, I was like, okay, this looks cool. This looks impressive. And then his suit, I was like, this just reeks of a late 90s, early 2000s suit that was super cheesy. And you would have seen worn, except maybe it would have been slightly different with colors, but that's basically what we would have got. So I'm torn because I liked it within the context of the movie, but I'm also like I said earlier, maybe it's a good thing we never got that.
but then you gotta shoot your shot. You gotta
Oh,
sit
yeah,
down with
yeah.
Ryan Reynolds and be like, look, man, just like you were trying to get Deadpool off the ground, I'm trying to get Gambit to be taken seriously. So let's take it seriously. But Channing Tatum don't care. So obviously he was just like, I'm just happy to be in the movie. Whatever you want me to do, Mr. Reynolds. But I was like, dude, this is your shot, man. I don't know. That's business 101 in my opinion. And so this is also a shout out to Grace beyond the trailer. She just mentioned that basically everybody that shows up in this movie is basically connected to Ryan Reynolds, right? Because you remember Chris Evans showed up in Free Guy, Channing Tatum showed up. We got Wesley Snipes go back and him go back years. And then, of course, Jennifer Gardner. I think they did something together. He did so much. Just the connections that he had. That's probably why he got the cameos that he got. It is what it is. So, anyway, what do you guys think was the best cameo, Mr. Benja? I know you don't care because it was all of a piece. You don't care.
You can actually go to Pete on this, and I'll come back after Pete.
Yeah, okay.
Favorite cameo.
You want to say who you want to say. Who you want to say.
Cavill was awesome just because I love the tease. I'm like, is this a throwaway thing, or are they legitimately trying to tease that he could be the new Wolverine? He's still young. He's still young. I'm just throwing it out there. He's got time. Robert Downey Jr. was not Iron Man till late. You guys can do it. I don't know. Besides that one, I actually liked the Pyro cameo. I remember him from, I think that was a nice nod to the first three movies because he was in all three. And I like that actor in general. I've seen him in a lot of different things. And
okay. I didn't know. I haven't seen him in anything else, but I didn't know that's the same actor until I had to do some digging. Yeah. But then again, I think I had to defer to Mr. Benja, not to interrupt your cameo discussion, but he was played for a joke too. It was just, dude, but he was like the central heart of X2. Remember, he switched sides over to Magneto. And yeah, I don't know. They did not go into the seriousness enough, I don't think, in some of these things when there was an opportunity to. So
that's a good point because there was I did feel like there was heart in the movie. I do feel like the motivation, and it's funny when I really thought about it, I almost feel like this is the inverse of Spider-Man No Way Home because in Peter's world, everyone came to him, but in Deadpool Wolverine, they came to the Void, and that's where all those characters were. And I think that's interesting because when you look at it that way, Peter created his problem. Deadpool did not create his problem. He learned about what was happening and decided to take action, whereas Peter created his problem, which almost led to his demise and didn't. But it's interesting if you look at it, they're the inverse of each other, and ironically, they play with the multiverse in different ways. But ultimately, they're all gonna connect to the same place.
Yeah. Okay.
Makes sense. So
Best cameo?
this might be a little bit of a left field one, but the Happy Hogan cameo, I actually thought that was the best cameo, and let me tell you why. Simply put, I thought it grounded the movie in the MCU a little bit more than anything else. And when I saw them come together, it reminded me a little bit of Ant-Man visiting the Avengers compound when he went up against Falcon. That kind of feel of somebody stepping into the world. You have one quick scene, it's done, it gets the purpose in, and then you move on to the next scene, and part of the story is cemented and you can move on. So when this happened, where he's, hey, I want to be an Avenger, and he's Spanish heart, I need this. No, you don't understand. To be an Avenger, you don't do it because you need it. You do it because they need you. And it was one of those, it was this another moment where Deadpool actually had to stop joking for a second, get quiet. And, okay. So that whole thing with Happy Hogan, maybe it wasn't so much him as a cameo, but the cameo of the MCU proper, I think, showed itself right there.
No, I agree 100%. But I got one question for you, Mr. Benja.
Uh-oh.
How did he get to the Avengers universe?
Yeah, we don't ask those
I
questions.
was wondering.
Yeah. He had a time travel machine.
Whatever.
From Cable.
What do they call the? No, did he have the whatchamacallit at that point?
He had the time travel machine. It was a watch. Remember, he was able to go back in time, change things.
Okay, he had the watch. Okay, so that was before he ended up with the TVA device. Okay,
That was before. Yeah.
yeah, that was before.
So that was curious, like, how did he get from his universe to the Marvel universe to talk to Happy Hogan?
Unless unless he's in his version of. Oh wait, no, it's not right. They clarified
they don't
what
have
Earth
the
got first, and then the Earth
1000, which I wonder where they got that number from, 1008 or something like that. I don't know where they got that from. I was trying to figure out if that was a business thing or something. But anyways, but to your point, Mr. Virgin, yes, I thought it was a nice scene. But in the back of my mind, I was like, how the hell did he get to Avengers? I could not get out of that. Was in the back of my mind the whole time. I was like, why would you want to be an Avengers in another universe, even though your family's back home?
Yeah.
So you can matter. So anyway, I don't know. You're right. That thing it could have worked. It was just
it was so touching. I didn't even care. I'm actually over here looking up. Wait, how did that happen?
That's the first thing that came to my mind when I saw that. But okay, good stuff, guys. All right, real quick. We just going through this when we can. Best fight. What do you guys think was the best fight? I'll let you go first, Pete.
I really like the first fight actually when they're first going at it, and obviously
who's that? Bye. The credit one.
I'm sorry, the first time Wolverine and Logan fight.
The 20th
I'm sorry, Wolverine
Fox,
and Deadpool fight.
the Void.
The Void, where you got the Fox logo in the background, which I thought was hilarious. But I think the first fight for me, it was just awesome just to see them finally have a good amount of time to just go at it and feature their powers against each other. We as comic book fans, these are the kind of things we've always wanted to see. And Ryan Reynolds literally says, let's give them what they want. And they start kicking each other's ass. And I'm like, this is so fucking cool right now. And sorry, am I not supposed to, can I cuss? I don't remember. But it was just such
Producer James, keep it in. Keep it in, Producer James.
Anybody who's Wolverine cosplay can cuss.
It was just such a good scene. I loved it's what I've been waiting for. So it was great.
Good call. You, Mr. Bitcher?
Real quick, so just to pin back, I looked up how he actually could end up meeting with Happy Hogan, and apparently it just says, oh, they just wrote it in that Cable's time watch can jump dimensions.
Oh,
how convenient!
That's convenient.
Did the actual comic book Cable ever jump dimensions?
He jumped time. I don't remember him jumping dimensions.
Did you watch X-Men 97, Pete? Disney Plus?
Oh, not yet. I haven't started yet. I know. I haven't started. No, I take that back. I watched the first episode and I haven't gone back to it. But
Yeah. When you watch it, text us, man. Yeah, but the cable shows up in there, and so I'm trying to think. That was a time travel, right, Mr. Benja? Or was that a
Yeah,
alternate
he
verse?
time traveled in that one, I
Yeah.
believe.
So anyway, so how
So,
convenient.
best fight. The 20th Century Fox one was really hardcore. I like that one. Was that the best one? I don't know. All the fights are pretty good, but yeah, I guess we'll go with that one for now.
The thoughts you put into this, I love it.
You
The
gotta
research.
you gotta remember, I just saw it, so I have to myself from just seeing it a week later. I'll be like, oh man, this one was good.
Well, for me, it had to be the Deadpool. I did not like the Deadpool core, but the fight was the best because he put the cowl on. And then when they fought and they jumped out the bus and they had that comic book pose in slow motion, I was like, oh, in the glass. I was like, that's it. All right, I'm not gonna lie. But yeah, that was one of the better fights for me. I love that one.
I feel like there was a missed opportunity during that scene with how meta this movie is and how aware of it is in its audience. I don't know how they did not fit a Spider-Man into the Spider-Verse joke into that scene. There's all these Deadpools, and we just saw not long ago a universe of Spider-Man and women. And I'm like, man, how did you guys not fit that joke in there? You can't say it's Sony because Disney can still, it's all connected still. So I'm like, man, that would have been a hilarious joke. But yeah, I feel like that was a missed opportunity.
No, I agree. I think, he didn't really say too much about Spider-Man. I think maybe there's a legal thing because, he sure did. He did do that. Yeah, good point. But there's a legal thing too because someone said, I don't know if you remember, they were showing Happy Hogan's all the different memorabilia he had. There was a picture of Iron Man, and there was his helmet covering the guy he was next to, and the guy he was next to was Peter. But rumors are, or I read this from Screen Crush, they said it. I don't know how true it is, but they said because it's Sony, there's a limited number of appearances that Peter can show up in Marvel properties. So they just said, so Peter didn't show up, but you can reference Spider-Man in certain ways. But all right,
Sony just needs to throw in the towel. Just go away, Sony. Just give Spider-Man all to let him have it. You guys ruined it. Damn legal.
Yeah. Best joke. Anything that really stood out had you just cracking up? Mr. Benji, I'll let you go first, Mr. Benji. You just saw it. So what is that belly laugh that you didn't want to laugh, but it just made you laugh?
There was no belly laugh for me. Nothing made me want to, spit out my Sprite or
there was no joy.
Or threw my gummy bears up in the air. Actually, the biggest smile I think I got was just Wolverine going off on his first big rant. And he just kept on cursing and was so angry. I was just like, my God, this guy's angry. Are you kidding me? Calm down. And then he thought he was going to stop, and he just kept on going. Yeah, I was happy and enjoyed to see that. But I don't know. I didn't belly laugh at all. Tough crowd, I know.
I actually like the jokes that poke a little bit of fun, non-comic book stuff. Actually, one of my favorite jokes was the one we talked about earlier with, even though it was comic book related, the whole Elektra taking a shot at, or Jennifer Garner, I should say, taking a shot at Daredevil and Ben Affleck's Daredevil. I thought that was comedy. I was hella laughing at that. And then I think a joke that's going to get underrated, not forgotten, is the Pretty Woman joke. I don't know if you guys caught it. The TVA was at his door, and then he comes out, and he thinks that they're like for him, and he goes, "This is a pretty woman. I'm totally easy tongue with you guys." I don't know. It's just such an obscure random joke, but I got the reference, and it just made me like bust out laughing. And I was just like, "This is just, we're in a Deadpool and Wolverine movie, and they throw a random Pretty Woman joke," and I was just like dying at that. Like, I think it's hilarious when you can not only poke fun at that, but poke fun at jokes like that and still make it work within the construct of the dialogue you're having in the context. It cracks me up when that can be executed so well.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, the knife pull kind of stuff worked for me. I don't know what it was. Maybe just seeing Ryan Reynolds being nice, and he said, "I can gently tap the fourth wall too." The proposal, that kind of stuff got, yeah, that kind of stuff.
That was hilarious.
That kind of stuff got me, and just the whole dog pool and just that, yeah, that whole thing got me. And he just, oh, he said, "You think I can survive?" Yeah, you can survive. So that was funny. He was just like, he was making fun of himself, right? That was basically him.
Yeah. Nice
And
Pool was
so,
hilarious, dude. Do you hear him
yeah,
say
nice
sorry
pool.
in Canadian?
No, what did he say?
When he would say sorry, he would say sorry. You could hear it. I was like, Ryan Reynolds is loving this right now.
Yeah, so I thought that stuff worked for me. So good stuff. Let's see, and then I guess we could say with the cameo, but was there any surprises that got you? I think we talked a little bit. I guess the surprises came from the cameos, but were there? It could be a mix of the best fight, there's things that popped up that were interesting that you was like, oh, I didn't know that was gonna pop up in there. Anything that surprised you that you just like, oh wow, that was interesting. They put that in there.
For me, I'm surprised that this Wolverine fight was so short. I thought they'd fight a little bit more. Like, I didn't expect Wolverine to slice his head off, but I was also like, oh, so we're getting like a full-on brutal Wolverine. Cool. So that's what I thought when I saw that.
Yeah, they went into it. What about you, Mr. Bitcher?
I'm surprised actually that it had as much of a buddy cop kind of. It really
Mhm.
was Deadpool and Wolverine. I didn't know what they were going for with that, but I think one of the understated things that really held the whole story together for me was that it wasn't like a Deadpool story or Wolverine story. They both their stories and lore, and like you were saying, how it was parallel to what's happening with Fox and one timeline ending and all that. Seeing that come together, I was, huh, that's cool. Like what you were going for with that whole timeline slowly ending 1,000 years kind of thing. It's okay. That just works for me on a storytelling level.
For me, I thought it's not best surprise, but it was just like freaked me out was when Cassandra Nova just took Johnny Storm's skin just like that. He collapsed into a bunch of goo. I was like, oh shit, they ain't playing. That just establishes stakes like that. When I saw how powerful she was to do that to like that character, I was like, oh, well, damn. What's the point in fighting her anymore? So it was like that kind of got me. Worst surprise to me was the ending. It was a good joke. Just everybody thought that he was talking shit about Johnny Storm, but Johnny Storm said all that crap. And kudos to Chris Evans to keep up with Motormouth Ryan Reynolds, man. That was awesome, man. Saying all that. That was pretty good. I love it. It was a good joke, but it was like I thought it was a wasted opportunity to connect it to the other side. But Mr. Benjamin, to your point,
Why was it a Mad Max thing?
yeah,
Did I
I
miss
don't
it?
know. Elias, remember Elias from he would eat up everything. But I don't know if when Loki went to hit to fight Elias, it wasn't in the desert though, was it? It was, but it was like it seemed like it was a void, wasn't it? I can't recall. Do you remember that
They
episode?
didn't have the modded cars going through the desert in the world of like the big wall of speakers driving by and
But they had
you know,
those Lokis there. They had all those Lokis there though. And
but
they were all
I'm
kind of
wondering where the Mad Max references came from. Why that was I don't
That's a
know,
good question.
it just threw me off. But
yeah.
I was like, wait, they actually name dropped Furiosa? Okay.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So anyway, so it's So any last look, guys? This is one of our longest pods. We usually go about an hour, but we had to get in, man. This has been fun. So did you? Yeah,
Double pod, DP.
producer James, man, you got your work cut out for this one. On this, you're gonna have some shorts for this for weeks. Yeah. Any last minute notes on just Deadpool in general? Oh wow, quiet.
Maybe the Furiosa shot was a shot at Warner's because that's Warner Brothers property.
Yeah. Absolutely. Mr. Benja, Pete, man, this has been great, man. I enjoyed talking to you guys about. We broke some news on this one. We went deep dive into Deadpool. We even talked about the election stuff. So this has been a good pod. Pacing Pete, where can people find you if they want to know more about your opinions?
You can find me at Pacing Pete on Instagram and Twitter. Yeah, I love to talk about, these guys know I love to talk about comic book movies and TV shows and just movies in general. I want to thank you guys for allowing me to come on and be a rambling idiot about this movie for a good hour. And yeah, it was a blast. I'm sure I was stumbling over my words, and I'm sure at times it didn't sound like I know what I talked about, but I enjoyed the movie. I thought it was great. And it was such a blast. It's always a blast to come on and talk to you guys about these movies.
Same here, man. We'll fix it in post. Don't worry, man. That's why we got a producer now. Producer today, fix it. Make your magic. Well, thanks, Pete, for joining us. So, everyone, thank you for joining. Please like, subscribe, and comment. Show versus Business on X, YouTube, and Instagram. Listen to us at Spotify, iTunes, or wherever you listen to podcasts. Go check out our website at Show versus Business. We want to learn more. Mr. Benja, have a great one.
Peace.